Let's head into episode 8. So the Resistance is preparing for something. Like, you just know there is a clash on the horizon. You can kind of imagine it is going to take place in this square because it's such a central location. First of all, what a glow up for Will. The revolutionaries get the girls, don't they?
Yeah, they seem to in this. I mean, look, Cyril too. I mean,
True. It was a real, like, regulators mount up for the Resistance as they get their guns together. But you kind of know that whatever they think they're doing, we know that they're going to walk into a Admiral Akbar level trap. And there's like a fatalism to it and a tragedy already starting.
yeah, they've been setting that up for a while too, so I think it made sense here.
So, what is the plan exactly? It's very sinister, but the Empire removes their blockade from the square, which effectively invites all of the Gormans to begin protesting there, which is exactly what the Empire wants. And this is being masterminded, I guess, by Dedra and Partagaz, right?
Yes.
There's a new guy there, too. But it is literally kettling, the crowd control tactic of kettling, which is where the police entrap or box in protesters, prevent them from leaving, raise the stakes and emotion and the frustration of the situation. And then when the protesters get a little surly,
Allegedly.
they use that to hit back as hard as they want. So another aspect of just the real world entering Star Wars in quite a chilling way, I thought.
Yeah, this episode really bummed me out, honestly. Just like, I don't know, the state of the world right now, I was just like, this is just tough to watch. But, I mean,
Yeah.
still
In
really
an
effective.
effective way, though?
Yeah,
It
no,
sounds like-
100%. Yeah, not in a way I would ask it to change. It's just, I don't know. I thought it was difficult.
Yeah. So Cyril and Andor have like a near miss on the stairs, which was pretty funny to see. I was like, God, they missed each other a couple episodes ago. Are they not going to interact here again? But they definitely do. We get the line from the bellhop. Rebellions are built on hope. Now, this is echoed in Rogue One, I think twice. Did this register as like too Easter eggy for you, or did you like this moment?
Doesn't bother me. Doesn't really hype me up. I would say pretty much straight down the middle on it for me.
I think it'd be interesting, when we do watch Rogue One, when we hear it spoken in that. And I genuinely forgot the context. I just remember that it's in there. Knowing that this didn't come from Luthen, this didn't come from that Karl Marx philosopher kid from season 1. This just came from a bellhop. I think that's kind of cool and speaks to like the humble origins to this rebellion.
Yeah, and I mean, I talked about it last week, but I think those are the people that matter in a situation like this, right? People with like the personal memories and tragedy that will just create a fire in them that just pushes them to fight. I think those people are important, and it was kind of cool, I guess, in that way to see him have that to say.
I don't know about you, Dan, but I find stormtroopers pretty silly. They usually can't shoot straight, and they get made fun of a lot, and they're pretty much imbeciles in the movies. But this was the scariest I've ever seen stormtroopers portrayed, when they are kettling this crowd, when they're in a phalanx, guns drawn. And I really just think that Tony Gilroy and his team said to themselves, like, these are morons, these are idiots in the past. Like, how can we actually make them as scary as possible?
You can still be a moron and still be dangerous in that situation, too.
That's true.
They're bullies, right? Like, that's all this is. It's just like thugs that have an advantage in numbers and firepower, and they just want to abuse people. So they set up a situation where they can. And I think, yeah, you felt their presence there for sure. And I think I agree with you. I think it's like I take points away from the original movies because it's like so goofy. Like you don't fear those people. Like they're clowns. Like, so I appreciate seeing more formidable foes here.
I also thought something that was scary was Cyril trying to connect with Dedra, sneaks through the crowd into that base where the Empire is, and he kind of gets shuffled into the safe room where we see that there are these K2 murder droids there. And this was just like straight horror movie scene where the droids are just like turned off, and then one just like shifts its head up and smiles at him. I was like, oh shit, that's going to go down.
They were really effective too. I think in a world where like I see technology and AI progressing in a way where like the hyper wealthy are going to have a control over pretty serious robotics in the next, I don't know, 10 years. Like that's going to be real. And like those things are going to be used in industry to replace human beings are going to be used in warfare. Police, like that's going to be reality. And I think like we joke about that, we see that in our science fiction, but like those things are not going to be our friends. They'll be used probably to control people in a way. And I think that's going to become reality. So I think seeing that just makes it that much more ominous.
We are the gore the galaxy is watching is what the Gormans chant as they crowd in the square. And this was just masterful tension building. And we should mention these episodes were directed by Giannis Metz, written by Dan Gilroy, Tony's brother, and, you know, made by the whole team. But I really thought about the Hitchcock quote about suspense. It's when the audience knows something bad is coming, like showing the bomb under the table, but not the bomb going off. And shock is one thing. The gripping suspense is a whole other. And that's how I felt this whole episode. And, you know, they really juice it by like some firecrackers will go off or they'll cut away to certain things. And every moment you're just like, is this when it's going to explode? Is this when it's going to explode? When it eventually does, like it is awful. It's terrible, but they really have you waiting and anticipating.
You also don't know what the explosion is even going to look like, which makes it that much more effective. And I think that Hitchcock quote is great. And I think like he built a career off that. That's like the entire premise behind like what makes rope what it is and like stuff like that. So I think an episode like this, you have to be patient and you can't kind of break the seal too early. I like that they paced it out really nicely.
An interesting scene occurs between Cyril and Dedra. We mentioned he does get through that blockade. He does manage to reach her in the control room. At this point, Cyril has kind of figured out that all these Gormans are going to be massacred. And he is so hurt and betrayed, not just by Dedra doing this, but I'm sure by his unwitting involvement in it. I think that's him projecting. And character chokes another, especially a male to a female in Star Wars. Hard not to think of Revenge of the Sith, right? At the end with Anakin and Padme.
Yeah.
And this was really dark. Like, we can laugh at these two and be like, oh, these are the two weirdest evil villains ever. Like, go be weird and evil over there. But the scene brings us in the room with them. And to see Cyril's hurt, to see him physically assault Dedra, to see Dedra like shaken by it, who's never shaken by anything, this actress, this character. It was just a very unique moment, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, the show's been willing to make you spend so much time with these two, and you know, despite how despicable they generally are, and I think I've talked about how that was an interesting choice the whole time, and this is like, you wonder what exactly you're supposed to feel, because like Cyril has been complicit, and he is a moron, and he was so, you know, he was all about this cause, right? Until you see what it actually is. But did you not actually have any sense over the past year of any, like, it is frustrating, and Dedra's just pretty much a fucking robot, so like, she's just so focused on her career, and just a narcissist sociopath, basically.
So the way the action goes down, I thought was really interesting. These like Greenhorn Empire soldiers are there, and to even get a moment with them for their captain to be like, these are kids, like they're not up for this, which we can parse and debate, you know, in its own right, but like clearly these are not droids. These are humans in Star Wars that are there to be the useful idiots in this scene. Because what is set up is that there are these hooded snipers on the roofs that shoot the Greenhorns. And then the Greenhorns are provoked, believe it's the crowd, and just open fire on the crowd. And just as a sequence of events and as this dark, sinister logic, I thought made a ton of sense, even though it was very hard to watch.
Yeah, and basically, I mean, taking advantage of that inexperience and that fear to know that they'll just react and they don't have the training they need is just really evil. And then you basically get this, you know, Boston Massacre in a way to just spark this stuff all off. And it's just a complete miscalculation by the Empire to underestimate, I guess, the rest of the galaxy. But, you know, they wanted to make their point and they thought they could get away with this, I guess. And we obviously know how that'll end. You see how much ego they actually have to think they can just do this and not have people react, or just be too afraid to react.
I mean, Andor within this chaos is trying to get a vantage to assassinate Dedra, and I thought it was a little annoying, like the cross-cutting to him, because he just wasn't doing anything. I'm like, okay, like We got it. You missed her. She's not there. But the action, besides many Gormans being massacred, and many stormtroopers too, because the Gormans do fight back pretty effectively. Really, we got to talk about Cyril and Andor, because Cyril is fresh off of this betrayal from Dedra, but like we mentioned, he's betrayed himself. He sees Andor. This is his purpose. Speaking of destiny, this is forget Dedra. He wants to end Andor more than anything. And we think back to the start of season 1. Andor doesn't even remember him. But to Cyril, this is his Super Bowl. This is his moment. And I don't know if you're a WWE fan, but as Jim Ross would say, this is an old-fashioned slobber knocker. And I just loved how ugly and visceral this fight scene was between them.
Yeah, I think it felt pretty real in that
brutal
scene. I wanted to say quickly, I was actively pissed off at the way Andor was comporting himself during that massacre. It felt like he could have done a lot to help them, especially with a rifle with a scope. And just to me, the idea that this person, they made it feel like he's putting his mission over what's happening. I guess that's what we're supposed to think. You're telling me he can't track Dedra, somewhat, and also shoot a couple fucking stormtroopers that are just massacring. It just felt strange, and I don't know if he just wasn't trying to draw attention.
Right. I mean, he does. It just comes too late, probably.
He shoots maybe 2 or 3, out of necessity. But I just found it a little clunky. But yeah, I mean, the fist fight was great. I think part of me was maybe Cyril would have some type of recalculation about Cassian after seeing what he's seeing in front of him, but I guess he's probably just so distraught and feeling so empty.
He's
just
bull seeing red. And he's just
I don't have any,
putting it all into this.
What else is he going to do? I mean, this is his opportunity. So
no, I thought the exact same thing as you, in the sense that could he now help Cassian because he's so discarded from Dedra? But it goes the opposite way, and I think that's probably realer to human emotion and just passion, I guess.
Yeah.
So Rylance, out of nowhere, Deus Ex Machina. Actually, he's not. It's Andor, who, in all honesty, freezes up and says, "Who the fuck are you?" He doesn't say that, but he's like, "Who are you, dude?" And it makes Cyril freeze up, because who he is, it's a little on the nose, without a doubt. But I think that he is a useful idiot. He is a nobody. He doesn't have a strong sense of self. I think he's a strong individual as a person. He just doesn't know where to place himself or his energy. He's got his mom pulling him over here. He's got Dedra over there. He's got this Gorman fashion world life that I'm sure if you could give him truth serum, that's what he'd actually want to be part of. He doesn't know who he is. Did you buy this freeze up, tense up, and what it signified? Because it does give the time for Rylance to come and shoot him in the head.
I liked it. I mean, I just liked it as a moment, and I think again, we talked about this, I feel spot on, this exact conversation. He's just someone with absolutely no sense of self, and nothing is actually guiding him. He just wants to be respected and be a part of something, and he doesn't care what that is. And
right.
He's completely lost. So I thought it was great, because it's coming from Cassian, who was that person in a way. But he's figured it out. And maybe Cyril could have been a Cassian Andor. Who knows?
It reminded me of The Incredibles with Syndrome, when Mr. Incredible's just who are you? He forgets about him completely. The villain doesn't get caught monologuing, but he gets caught having an existential crisis instead.
I was a fan of the moment, for sure.
Yeah, I was too. But that's not even the end of the episode. Sam, your favorite character, Resistance Fighter Sam, does come in with the save against the murder droid. Andor and Will have a really good quality hug with even a hand on head thing, like Giannis and Benedict Mathurin.
Not exactly.
I don't know if anyone's going to get that.
I get it.
And then we get this radio broadcast that ends the episode from Will's girlfriend, Drina, I think. It's just a montage of everyone affected by the moment. I thought it was very strong, very chilling. The score, I thought, was really good. It kind of sounded like Hans Zimmer's Time from Inception, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I thought it was, I was very moved. And then we get Andor driving away, Diego Luna, good single tear acting, as he's just trying to pick up the pieces of what the fuck just happened. Very traumatizing event.
Yeah, and getting to see him crack a little bit, I think, is good. I think I like moments of him getting a little more characterization and showing a little more humanity. So I think it was effective, and I thought the radio broadcast was great. Just trying to say, like, you know, we need help. Like, it was effective.
Kind of a funny ending, though. The actual ending, it's Edie and her friends on Coruscant.
Yeah, watching
the news. Now, I don't believe in this moment she's found out Cyril's been killed here.
Yeah, no.
I think she's watching it and so disturbed by these rebels hurting the, quote, imperial martyrs of the moment. And then the irony is that her son has been killed in this event, and she's watching the false version of it. But even so, she's with her girlfriends, shedding tears, probably gossiping after. You know, I just thought it was like such a brilliant little moment.
And who knows if like she was even thinking about her son, like, or she's just focused on like the bullshit that's being thrown at her that she just eats up.